Hi friends, in this video we will discuss about the truth and false values in JavaScript. So which value will be true and which value will be false, how to determine. In JavaScript, in any if condition, the expression will get evaluated to either true or false. So if you give what value, it will be evaluated true, and if you give what value, it will be evaluated to false. We'll see. Okay, and we have comparison operators to check whether comparison is true or not. Based on that also it will be evaluated to true or false. That part we know. In any other language it is in the same way. Which value is true, the value will be true or not based on the comparison and operator or and operator or operator. So either it may be a relational operator or it may be a boolean operator we may use in the conditions basically. So those values we know which value it evaluates to, but we don't know if we give a just single value in the if condition whether it will evaluate to false or true. In JavaScript this is most important to check what are the available properties in any specific object. Okay, it may be evaluate to one of these values. If you don't know what it is going to evaluate, what the result is, it is very difficult to understand. So that is why I am trying to explain you what are the truthy values and falsy values in JavaScript. So if you see in the if condition, generally we do use comparison operator, something like 7 greater than 9. This doesn't mean that we always use the literals. I'm just taking example with the literals instead of creating the variables. You may create some variables using these values and then apply the comparison operator. So for suppose I am checking 7 greater than 9 here, which is false. Indeed, it is evaluated to false, and the if condition respective block is not get executed because it is false value. So it is same way that if I use a is equal to 7 and comma b is equal to 9, if I use, and then if I do if a greater than b, it is same way. So I'm just trying now with variables instead of literals. So if you see the same result, the reason is that a will be evaluated it's to its value 7, b will be evaluated to where its value 9. So 7 is greater than 9 is, that is false, hence it is not evaluated at the if block. It is same. So I will use the literals only to explain you about the truthy values and false values in JavaScript. So in if you write what value, it will get execute the if block. So if you see, I will write else block also to make you better understand this concept. So it is like this, if else and the condition first here. So I am using true just to check test how it will be resulting. So I am just writing here as console.log, you can tell it as true, evaluated to true, and here console.log evaluated to false. So we can see that it is evaluated to true because we are giving the true in the if condition itself. So it is true, hence the successive if block will get executed, hence evaluated to true. So what happens if we use 0 instead of true? So not 0 instead of true, if we use 1, so 1 will also evaluated to true. Any number will be evaluated to true, hence the if block will executed evaluated to true. So what about any string? any string if you use, so for suppose any name if you use the string something like, okay, then it evaluated to true. That means any string will get evaluated to true. Remember that any number, any string will get evaluated to true in the if condition. What else are there? The truthy values. One, any string, any object. For suppose I have an object obj ob is equal to some object I have, and if I use that object in the if condition, for suppose here I am using that object, so it evaluated true. So any object, it may be just a simple JavaScript object, or it may be an array object, or it may be a date, or it may be a regex. All the objects will evaluate to true if you just use that as in the if condition to evaluate. So next is so these are the only truthy values which we can see. We need to see the false values which will become the false values. So we'll just see how the false values will come here. So yeah, so what are the false values? So if you use if the same condition, I'll just change the condition here. Instead of if in the if I use false, so what it evaluates to false only, so it will obviously goes to else block. It is default. So if you use an empty string instead of false, if you use an empty string instead of false, it will also be evaluated to false. And remember, if you use a space inside the string, it evaluates to true. Remember that it evaluates to true. That means because there is a character exist in the string, hence that it is evaluated to true. And one more thing is that any number, we know any number it evaluates to true, either negative or positive, it evaluates to true, but a zero will always evaluate to false. So if you see zero, it evaluated to false, hence the else block is executed. If you use minus one, I have not told how minus numbers will work. When if you use the minus numbers, it evaluates to true, except zero, it evaluates to true. All other numbers in the string except an empty string, all other strings will evaluate to true, empty string will evaluate to false. What about the null and undefined values? Those will evaluated as a false. So for suppose if I use null in the if condition, it is evaluated to false if you see the else block executed. So if I use undefined, hence the values are not there, so you cannot consider them as a truthy value, hence it is evaluated to false. Undefined is not known value, hence it is evaluated to false. And also not a number, you might have seen not a number when you use any mathematical, when you try to perform any mathematical operation on the not performable arithmetic operation on the operands. That means the operands are not support the arithmetic operation. When you try that, not a number will come, and not a number is a false value, so it evaluates to false. So now you understand what are the false values and what are the truth values. Truth values are simply any number other than 0, or any string other than empty string, or true, or any object in the JavaScript is evaluated as a true. So other than this, that means an empty string, just an empty string without any single character, even as an empty character. Okay, space. The space is also not considered as an empty string. We have just seen here. The space is considered as a string and it evaluates to true. So we should not consider the space. And an object. So any object will be considered as a true value. Next is that a false. False will be any empty string without any character will be evaluated to false, or false, or null or undefined will be evaluated to false. So what happens if you use not operator in any false value? For suppose if I use not operator in not a number, so what will happen? It will become true. So because the value is false, the boolean value for not a number is false. I mean, we are explicitly trying to typecast here. You might have understood that here in the if condition. What is happening internally? It is trying to typecasting the whatever operand to boolean, that is true or false. That's what it happened in these examples. And now when you are using a not operator on the not a number, so it is a boolean operation, hence not a number has to convert as a boolean. Not a number will convert as a false, and if you use not on the false, it is true. Hence any false values, if you apply not on any false value, it will be converted as a true, and if you apply not on any true value, it will be converted as false. For suppose if I apply not on a number 90, it will be converted as false. If I apply not on on a string something like this, it will be false. If I apply not on a something like object, what will happen? It will apply, it will convert as a false. So for the false values, if you apply not, for suppose empty string, it will convert as a true. And if you apply not operator on 0, it will convert as a true. And if you apply not operator on what else is there, null, so null is a false value in the boolean evaluation, so again false will convert as a true. And not on undefined, undefined is a not known value, hence it usually evaluates to false, and not on false is true. So these are the most important points to note on truthy and falsy values in JavaScript. This is most important to write code and to understand what is happening at that moment because of the values we use, and the if conditions, the conditional operator in the conditional, what is going to happen, we need to know before that. This will give the clear picture on how if conditions will evaluate if we give a different operands which are not supposed to give, how it evaluates true. Thank you guys.